Hello, fight fans. Seattle Mike, MMA with friends. Hit that like button if you like everything violence, MMA, boxing. Make sure you're subscribed and join one of the most hardcore MMA communities on YouTube. And don't forget to ring that bell so you're notified whenever I drop a new video or go live, like for our popular fight companions. We do pretty much every major boxing and MMA event. UFC and Bellator. Today we're going to talk about fighters that need to leave the sport, though. The UFC's roster is nearing 600 fighters, and as much as I study this sport, even I will be watching undercards and see a name pop up, and I'll have to do some research because I have no idea who that guy is. So there's a lot of fighters out there. And it seems like there's some cleaning house that needs to be done. And I think there's some easy answers. Now, I'm not going to throw BJ Penn out here because I think most people realize he probably shouldn't have came back to begin with. He was trying to get a fight, but Dana, I think kind of nixed that after that recent bar fight. And I'm not going to throw CM Punk out here, a guy that should have never been fighting to begin with. But let's go through my list. And I'm going to start out with one of my favorite fighters, if not my favorite fighter of all time. I have not considered him my favorite active fighter for a long time because it's hard to consider him active, or at least in a professional sense at this level. And unfortunately, that's one of the greatest of all time, the Spider Anderson Silva. Now, this guy has not been victorious inside the cage, I believe, since 2015. And even that was a decision that was turned over. Some people might say he won the Derek Brunson fight. He did win it on the cards. Most people don't believe that he did. And unfortunately, he's just looked horrendous his last few times out. Another leg injury against Jared Cannonier earlier in the fight. And then just got the floor. Uriah Hall just wiped the floor with him. And that was not prime Anderson Silva. I'm glad to see that Bellator said they have no interest in him. And at 46 years old, I hope Anderson Silva finds something in his heart that makes him happy. Whether it's training, training his son. I know his son has been training. I think he's 18 or 19 years old. But Anderson Silva, for everybody, find something in the martial arts community. I don't want to see you back in the ring or the cage again. Next up, and I think this is going to be pretty obvious after Saturday's showing, is going to be in boxing, Roy Jones Jr. 51 years old, came back against 54-year-old Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson, he looked like there was a little pep left in the step. Especially, like he said, gets a few fights underneath him. He fights some of these older fighters, like exhibition-style fighting. And these guys are not fighting at world championship level at this point. But Roy definitely should not have gotten hit. He took a big left hook from Mike early in the fight. He held most of the fight. He ran a lot of the fight. It really didn't seem like he wanted to be there. I almost wonder if they have to coax him to come out because he was in the back for so long. And then you see him running and training. And Wyatt Matheson pointed this out to me. Wyatt Matheson, YouTuber and sometimes co-host on the show, pointed out that when he was running and training, he said he thought he looked worse than Chuck Liddell. He looked like he couldn't even walk, and that's not, that's not how we want to see our childhood heroes. Like a childhood hero of mine, Roy Jones Jr., and the commissions, they had some questions about sanctioning some of these older guys for a reason, and I would like to see Roy Jones keep the gloves in the closet. Next up is going to be, I think, a pretty obvious one, and that's Diego Sanchez. This guy, he's taken more shots in his career. It's got to be in the top 5. He's absorbed so many shots in his career. Always been, a little bit of a different guy, beat to a different drum, which I like those guys. I really do. I'm good friends with, a lot of guys like that don't take the culture norm and search within themselves. Diego Sanchez is doing a little bit further than that, though, now bringing in, spiritual faith healers as coaches. And then recently had an article, unfortunately, that was posted on TMZ, a video of him talking about being visited by UFOs to his house. I don't think this is a good sign at all. I know he is in New Mexico, where the famed Area 51 was, but out of all people to be telling us a UFO story, I'm not wanting to listen to the guy that I was already thinking should be retired because of things he's been saying and the head trauma he's taken. Next up is going to be Clay Guida, and he's actually scheduled to fight Michael Johnson in January. This guy, he's been a shell of himself for a decade, hasn't he? He's taken so many shots. He gave us a lot of great battles back in the day. Battle with Diego Sanchez. He's fought at 145. He's fought at 155. He's, scrapped and been around for a while. Another one of those guys that's, beats to his own drum. Hits himself in the head a lot before he even gets to the cage. What we know about CTE now is that's probably not a good idea. Guys, getting hit in the head is not a good idea, but don't even hit yourself in the head. And you're not gaining anything from that anyways. So Clay Guida, I would prefer that he find something better to do for his safety and for the, the entertainment and future of the sport. We had Anderson Silva to recap, Roy Jones Jr. number 2, Diego Sanchez 3, Clay Guida number 4. Number 5 and 6 are going to be 2 guys that are no longer in the UFC, but they have been fighting over in Bellator, and I think it's time for them to pull the plug. Roy Nelson, he didn't look even close to competitive in his last 2 fights. This is a guy that when you head into your 40s, you can get away with the diet, and he did. I think he could have been much better if he'd ever gotten that under control, but you can get away with it up to your early and mid-30s. Now that he's in his 40s, I think, the abuse on his body, whether it wasn't working out enough, just not being disciplined enough from the diet, never looking like an athlete. Those guys, they can do it for a while. I just don't think they can do it for as long as somebody who has the total package, takes the diet seriously, takes the workout regimen seriously, takes the training seriously. And Roy, he is taking a lot of shots. He's never been shy about walking through shots. Sometimes he would take 2 to give 1. He's taken 4 or 5, and then when he's throwing that one, he's missing. And, his brain's going to be jello at any moment. I hope it's not already. And 6, the final one on this list, is a former UFC champion, former movie star, starred as B.A. Baracus in the A-Team, and has been a fan favorite for many years. Back to the Pride days, and of course that's Quinton Rampage Jackson, remembered for the iconic slam knockout in Pride, and his trademark chains and the howl. He'll make you very excited coming to the cage, but as of late, he makes you wish that he wouldn't have came into the cage. He had a lackluster performance against Chael Sonnen. a few fights back, and Chael, rightfully so, I think retired. And I think Rampage should do the same. He came out in his last fight against Fedor Emelianenko. I showed absolutely nothing. It looked like he was just there for a paycheck. It sounds like Scott Coker is not really interested in re-signing him anyways. But guys, it's sad to see guys that if they're coming out for a paycheck, if they need the money. I don't know where Rampage is in that. It seems like he could get some acting roles. I don't know how Hollywood works. Of course, with the Tony Khabib virus going on, a lot of things have been shut down. But, he's a funny, charismatic guy. It seems like he could make money somewhere besides getting punched in the face. So that's my list, guys. Let me know what you guys think. That's 6 fighters that I believe should retire. Who do you think should retire? Let me know down there in the comments. And your comments and picks could be used in a future video. As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses later.